This is Matthew Kratter from Trade University, and today I want to talk about a really interesting story that's going to give us a lot of different insights into Bitcoin. This is called the US government steals over $3 billion worth of Bitcoin from a thief. Was Bitcoin hacked? Was Bitcoin seized? That's what we're going to be talking about because you'll probably be hearing about this story. It's actually a relatively old story in that this Bitcoin was seized from this person by the US government about a year ago, but the person only pled guilty recently on Friday, November 4th of this year, 2022. So let's provide some background just to bring everyone up to speed. Silk Road was a dark web marketplace used mostly for buying and selling illegal drugs a few years ago. The guy who founded it, Ross Ulbricht, is now in jail, currently serving 2 lifetime sentences plus 40 years in jail for setting up this online marketplace that basically was used mostly for buying and selling drugs, and the currency was Bitcoin. Here's a picture of Ross Ulbricht, and it's a good reminder that this guy is in jail while none of these people are in jail. None of these people who rode on the Lolita Express and presumably did certain things are in jail now. But for some reason, this young man is. I'm actually going to link to a petition to free him in the description notes below. Whatever your view of this, I would guess that 2.5 lifetimes is a little bit excessive, and I think he should be freed. So who's the third party in this? It's a guy named Loaded. He was an early Bitcoin Talk user, which was this online forum that Satoshi and Hal Finney and everyone were active on. And it turns out that his name appears to be James Zhong, at least according to the US government. Here's a picture of James probably discussing the intricacies of UTXO management with some fellow Bitcoiners on his yacht. So this guy was fairly wealthy. He had Bitcoin worth over $3 billion when they were seized. Please hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video so far. Hit the like button. Maybe share this video with a few friends, especially those who are worried that in this case Bitcoin was hacked. So was James Zhong a super sophisticated, shadowy coder and hacker? It doesn't look like he was. Here's how he stole the Bitcoin from the Silk Road. This is from the government indictment. As an example, on September 19th, 2012, Zhong deposited 500 Bitcoin into a Silk Road wallet. Less than 5 seconds after making the initial deposit, Zhong executed 5 withdrawals of 500 Bitcoin in rapid succession, i.e. within the same second, resulting in a net gain of 2,000 Bitcoin. So there's basically a bug in the Silk Road software that enabled you to withdraw more Bitcoin than you had deposited if you did it really quickly. So this is how he stole it from the Silk Road. According to the US government, Zhong ended up with approximately 50,000 Bitcoin doing this. Turns out he was a strong Bitcoiner. When Bcash forked away from Bitcoin during the fork wars of 2017 and everyone got free Bcash, you basically got the same amount of Bcash that you were holding in BTC. Zhong immediately dumped his 50,000 Bcash for 3,500 Bitcoin. You can see how the exchange rate collapsed very quickly. So we already know that James Zhong is much smarter than all of the current Bcash bag holders. He dumped it a long time ago when it was still worth something. And so by doing this, he basically ended up with approximately 53,500 Bitcoin, which, as we said, was worth 3.36 billion when it was seized by federal agents from his house in Gainesville, Georgia on November 9th, 2021, so about a year ago. Now, where did they find the Bitcoin in his house? This really reads like a mystery novel. Law enforcement located 50,491 Bitcoin of the approximately 53,500 Bitcoin crime proceeds, and here's where they located it: in an underground floor safe and on a single board computer that was submerged under blankets in a popcorn tin stored in a bathroom closet. So he basically split his Bitcoin into these 2 separate piles. Now, how did they find him? Well, they were able to match his IP address that he was using with information from a crypto exchange that he was using to sell some of his Bitcoin. And they were able to link that IP address to his account, to his KYC identity when he accessed that account and sold some Bitcoin. And they were able to follow the movement of the Bitcoin on chain back from the Silk Road days down to the present. Now you could say, why are Bitcoiners so stupid? Why is the blockchain open like this? Why is it an open and transparent ledger? Well, if it's not open and transparent, you can't audit the supply. So there are always trade-offs, and don't let Monero people tell you that they're not trade-offs. Bitcoin avoids inflation bugs in this way by having everything being open and transparent and auditable. And again, that your identity is not visible on the Bitcoin blockchain, but it's how you interact with the blockchain, how you interact with KYC, crypto exchanges that can be used to link this. And again, if you've bought some Bitcoin using Coinbase or Kraken or using any of these services, you don't have to worry about the US government coming after you, at least not yet. If you purchased your Bitcoin in an honest manner using legal funds. In the description notes below, I'm going to link to the detailed government release that talks about his IP address and how they were able to follow the Bitcoin on chain. So the US government gets a search warrant, they invade his house, they're able to find his some hardware containing his Bitcoin. We don't know whether it was a laptop or a Raspberry Pi. I think they said it's a single board computer. Probably not a hardware wallet. I don't think they were around back then, and the pictures I saw didn't really look like any well-known hardware wallet manufacturers. So they basically confiscated whatever hardware he was using to hold his Bitcoin private keys. And again, your Bitcoin doesn't really get stored anywhere. You need to store your private keys. So were they able to access the Bitcoin once they invaded his house and took his possessions? No. Were they able to hack Bitcoin or decrypt his hardware? No, they were not. Instead, what they had to do is they had to put poor James in a cage for 5 months and gently persuade him to reveal his recovery seed or password or whatever it was. And then by March of 2022, so he'd been in jail approximately 5 months, he began surrendering to the government passphrases and instructions for how to access this Bitcoin. So even though the government was able to take him and take his hardware wallets, they had no way of getting to the Bitcoin until he spilled the beans and told them his recovery seed or his password. Now, should James have used Monero instead? Well, the problem is Silk Road was using Bitcoin at the time. Should James have converted his Bitcoin to Monero? Unfortunately, Monero is still a very small currency. It's not liquid enough, and he probably would have gotten caught converting. Should James have stored his wealth in cash, in gold, coins, and bars, just converted to real estate? Unfortunately, all of those got seized as well. And we know this from the law enforcement report that they recovered almost $700,000 in cash. They recovered 4 1-ounce silver-colored bars and a couple gold-colored coins and bars. And I found this amusing that they have to call it gold-colored bars and coins. It sounds a lot like when I refer to gold as shiny yellow rocks. The problem is the US government could not tell whether it was gold or not without performing a costly and time-consuming sale. So that's why in the indictment they call it a gold-colored bar or gold-colored coin. We still have people saying that Bitcoin is not money. These kind of people, and I think this is one of the funny side notes from the story, is that the US government in this report basically admits that Bitcoin is money. And here are the 2 quotes. This case shows that we won't stop following the money, no matter how expertly hidden, even to a circuit board in the bottom of a popcorn tin. Such a great phrase. And then the second phrase in this report, IRS special agents are the best in the world at following the money through cyberspace. So at least the US government seems to think that Bitcoin is money. And this is obviously a huge windfall for the US government, even though Bitcoin is down probably 2/3 or so from when they seized the Bitcoin. It's still a good $1 billion worth of Bitcoin here. So in summary, the US government cannot hack Bitcoin. Bitcoin was not invented by the CIA or the NSA. These are not groups that have invented anything of value. But the US government can definitely put you in a cage or torture you until you reveal a password or a recovery seed or a backup seed. We're talking about the 24 or 12-word recovery seeds that you can use to encode your Bitcoin private keys. Can they put 46 million Bitcoiners in jail? No. They could put James Zhong in jail. They could put me in jail. They could put some other Bitcoin maximalists in jail, but they can't put all of us in jail. They can't put 46 million Bitcoiners in jail. It's just not practical. That'd be more than 10% of the US population. And we see here that approximately 46 million Americans, roughly 22% of the adult population, own Bitcoin as of 2022. What's going to happen to the stolen Bitcoin? It will almost certainly be auctioned off at market prices. It'll be slowly sold off by the US government. And will this selling tank Bitcoin's price and destroy Bitcoin forever? Of course not. That's not what happens. The US government's not stupid. Even if they threw it all out there, the market can easily absorb 53,000 Bitcoin. What should happen to this Bitcoin? I think it should actually be returned to Ross Ulbricht, the rightful owner that the US government stole it from. Again, I'm going to link to this free Ross Ulbricht petition in the description notes below. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.